Hi, do you wear a KUBI Dry Glove System, or have you just bought one and you're not sure how to change the glove and service the O-rings to keep it sort of watertight and change to a thicker or newer glove if you've pierced it? Well, watch this video and I'll be showing you how to do it. Hi, I'm Andy the Northern Diver and welcome to another episode of the series of scuba diving tutorials where I'll be showing you how to maintain and service your KUBI Dry Glove System. If this is your first time here, then please hit the subscribe button below. That way you can really easily find all the other content that we've produced, which we've been doing it for about a year now, so there's quite a bit. To the side of that, you see the little bell icon. Clicking that will send you a notification every time we do post any new content. And if you do enjoy this video, please give me a thumbs up. And if you want to leave any comment, I always get back to you. But leaving that thumbs up is a massive sort of boost to me because I spend hours and hours doing these videos. And to see I get quite a few likes of the videos I make makes me think, well, it's worthwhile doing it, innit? So without further ado, let's crack on. So for this, you're going to need a little bit of kit. So I've brought out some silicone grease, a lint-free cloth, and two types of O-ring picks. Now, this is probably what most people will have in their toolbox. Bring it a bit closer, you can see there. So it's a stainless steel one. The downside to this, it's a little bit harsh sometimes on O-rings that you need to just put back. All you're doing is taking it out to clean it. If you're getting rid of them, it's not a problem because if it pierces it, it's going in the bin anyway. But for this, because I'm only going to be cleaning them and putting them back on, I've got a plastic one. So this came from Olympus. It's nice and soft and it's not going to cause any damage. Certainly not likely to cause any damage to the O-rings, which are going to be quite expensive, and I certainly don't carry spurs off. You're then going to need a marigold, whether it be a brand new one because you've pierced it or a thicker one because winter's coming, so you need a new one. And you can see with this, it is actually a black marigold, and what I've done is turn it inside out because against my black dry suit or wetsuit, why would you wear a dry glove with a wetsuit? But anyway, against my black dry suit, you can see what signal I might be trying to give, and certainly in murky water it stands out quite well for my buddy. So what I'm going to do is be very cautious and careful of taking these off, try and explain to you which direction I'll probably go in with the O-ring pick, and then I'll lay them out in a particular order. And what I want you to pay lots of attention to is the sort of the direction that the inner metal cuff is facing, or the orientation, because there is a groove in the central area which is slightly to one side, and it's quite important which side you get that on. What we're going to do is look at taking the O-ring off. So the first one is the bright red one. That's the one that locates with the cuff that's on your dry suit, and you'll see I'm coming from the outside in. I find that easier than coming the other way because this KUBI cuff gets in the way. So if you come from the outside inwards and just slide it underneath, and with your thumb you can roll it on and get your O-ring pick underneath. Can you see that? And then quite easily it'll just pull off. So what I'm going to do is lay these out on a nice clean area, and I'm going to put the one that I take off first furthest away and the last one that comes off closest to me, and then you've got a particular order to take them all off. Next to that, you've got a sort of thinner, blacker one, and similar sort of way, get the O-ring pick underneath and roll it on using your thumb, and that way you can just pull it off and lay that down next to the red one, again coming closer and closer to me. Then you've got the protective cuff that says KUBI. It's got the little logo all over it. Some people's have already come off. That's next. Now what I want you to do is like I said, pay particular attention to this metal cuff. I'll bring that close to you. Hopefully the camera will focus on that. You should be able to see that where the glove is where the next groove is nearest. It's not the other side. So hopefully if you remember that, and I'll probably try and take some photographs later and put this on the end of the video so you can see which orientation. But that's the most important orientation. Now grabbing the glove, you can sort of stretch the O-ring over the top of the cuff and just take that off and put it down. And then fold the glove over and you're left with a bigger, thicker black O-ring. So what you want to do is have a look through all that bit of kit that you took off. So first of all, I'm going to get my glove. Now this, for the purpose of this, I'm not going to change it out because there's nothing up with this one. So filling it with air, I can see that there's no nicks and no obvious leaks from the glove other than the bit that I was holding. So that's good to go. Next thing, I'm going to look through the O-ring that's going on next. There's no nicks or tears in that. Give it a slight pull. Does it look distorted at all? No, it doesn't. So I'm going to get my lint-free cloth and give that a quick wipe over, which will hopefully take off any little bits of fluff or sand or granules of, like, I don't know, gravel or whatever. Now I'm literally putting enough on just to coat my fingerprint, almost like I was going to lubricate my lips when they were chapped with a bit of Vaseline. And I'm just going to spread that all over a small area of the O-ring, put my finger and thumb together and just pull that around and just keep doing that. And what you'll do is you'll find you'll manipulate that silicone grease thoroughly around the O-ring. And there's bits of fluff in the air, so you just need to be cautious now, because what you don't want is anything in the way of that, because it then causes it to leak. So what I'll do is I'll put that over the cuff of the glove and roll it down so it just sits sort of on top of the thumb. Put that out of the way. Next I'm going to get the metal cuff. I'm going to just check it over, make sure there's no scratches, no dust or bits of like gravel on there, and if needs be just wipe it off with that cloth. Now I'm not going to lubricate this because it just becomes an attractant or like a magnet to fluff. So making sure, if you look at the central raised area of the cuff, to the side that the glove's going to sit on is the next indentation. So there should be 2 to the left and 1 to the right, assuming you're doing it with your left hand holding the glove and your right hand holding the cuff. I'm just going to push that inside of the glove now. It can be a little bit tricky if you've still got a bit of that silicone grease on your fingers. Push that in. I'll turn that round in a sec so you can see it. So I've put that in, and I've probably got about 10 or 15 millimeters of glove just overhanging that. But I find this easier than sort of struggling to try and keep the glove in position with the O-ring and wrapped over. So I can sit that on the table now, push it down, and then just with my thumbs manipulate that O-ring into place. And in doing so, there isn't any creases or pinches of the glove in the O-ring, and it's still sat quite sort of uniformly, because as I've pressed that down, I've kept the pressure on there. And then what you can do is fold the glove over the top. And this is just excess now, so if you wanted to, you could cut that off. And I've cut them short because I'm only a little guy. There's probably another 4 inches or so of glove down here that I didn't need. So then you're going to get the KUBI outer protective cuff and just sort of check that. Now, I have seen these start to peel off, so if you wanted to glue them back on, that's a great opportunity to do that. And that just sits over the top, making sure that the glove is pulled nice and neatly all the way down and there is no sort of snags or kinks or creases. And that just sits over the top, and that protects the glove from being pulled off because it can't come over the top. So then you get the middle O-ring, which is another black one. It's much thinner. Just rub that over again, just checking for any sort of obvious signs of damage. If it is damaged, don't try and glue it or anything, just replace it. Again, just a little touch of Vaseline. I just like to put it in one place and then just try and manipulate that through the fingers for a couple of seconds, and you'll find just a gentle sheen on the O-ring. Now what it doesn't do is create a seal. All that does is just make it last a little bit longer. So push that down over the top, push it into position. Now the outer protective cuff should move, so if you just turn that around, you can see all this is nice and snug now, and I'll just keep moving that around. That's it, job done. So last but not least, we've got the red O-ring. That's the bit that locates into the cuff of your dry suit. This is one that you're going to need to take off, check, clean and lubricate quite often. So because it's likely to be lying around in your van or your bag or on the floor, this is the one that's likely to get damaged. Now mine's got a little tiny pock mark I saw before where perhaps a bit of sand had been pressed into it. Hopefully that sort of pushed its way out now, but there's no sand or cuts or debris in it. So again, little fingers touch of the silicone just into one place, and then just try and manipulate that through your fingers. Gets the grease everywhere, and it just prolongs the life of the O-ring, doesn't it? But what you don't want to do is have it so it's caked in it, because it will just, every time you put it down or leave it lying around, it will just pick up fluff, which is just, it's not conducive to a good seal. So just sort of try and thread that over the top. Now I like to try and keep it sort of halfway, finger and thumb there holding it in place, and just try and gently stretch it over, not getting your fingers caught or anything else, and just give that a sort of push round and just make sure that it's sat nice and even. And that's it, it's that simple. So hopefully you found this some use to you, and you can do this with both sides. And what I'll do in the next video is I'll show you how to maintain the cuff that's within your dry suit, because that for me does pick up quite a lot of debris. But you know, that should be good to go now. If you do both of them, there you go. And like I said, if you understand why I've got my white glove on, well, my black t-shirt with the white glove against it should show you exactly why. Whereas if I was to pull it inside out, it almost disappears, doesn't it? So good luck with that. If you've got any problems with that, or if you've got any questions about it, or if you want to say thanks, put them in the comments below. I always get back to you. Please give us a thumbs up if you enjoyed this and found it any use to you. As like I said, I spend hours doing these, and the more thumbs up I get makes it just feel more worthwhile doing it. So thanks for watching. I'll see you on the next one. See you on Insta.